Hello, 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 and welcome to Yappin with Yanna. I have with me tonight one of the dopest authors around that is just like she's dropping some hits, okay? M Monique is with us tonight. And as a special guest, y'all, I could not do this without bringing this reader on. You talk about a hype reader. If you're in our Facebook group, you are very familiar with how she comes in. She comes. Alicia.
Hello.
I figured what better person to bring on to acknowledge and represent this work here than Alicia, because Monique, she deserves all the kudos.
The book was good. The book was good.
Thank you, Lord. Yep.
So the format that we normally follow, guys, is literally just comfortable, laid back. There's no questions. There's a conversation. That's what it is. This is a girls' chat. So feel free to jump in. But I just wanted to thank everybody for tuning in tonight and watching us. If you got it from the newsletter, then you know I expressed how I felt about tonight in that newsletter. So thank you for clicking. But if you're coming for support, listen, we're about to get all the tea from Monique tonight. All right. So, Monique, you have been writing for a while.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, what 2018 was it?
2020. I started writing. I started publishing in 2020.
Okay.
But yeah, I've been writing for years. I just never pursued it or did any type of follow through when I did do anything. Like I would start and stop, and you know why? Because when I would write, it seemed like everything around me would start going haywire. So I was like, okay, God, maybe this ain't what you want me to do. And that's why I can't get this done, because, why can I start, but I can't get to the point where it's actually going somewhere, or I would get stuck on publishing. Do I want to self-publish? Do I want to go to a publisher? How do I even go about it? And it just all kind of discouraged me. And I would stop so easily. And I don't know. I just felt like every time I started writing, something came along to make me stop writing. So yeah, I've been writing for years. I just never published anything or went any deeper than just putting it on paper.
But child, I'm grateful. Whatever was holding you back was released, was moved out the goddamn way, okay? Because from your writing, we have gotten some book babes. We got Kingston, we got Blue, we got Gray. We got Dallas and Houston.
Yes.
We got some, and I mean there are women there too. But
we got Jerome.
Girl.
So the thing is that with Blue, he was an afterthought from a book that I did previous to that. Y'all hear my churn, right? But anyway, so
this is live. Bring it on.
Look, I did Uncovering Love first, and I wrote about Gray. And I actually I was almost done with Uncovering Love when I decided to go back and add Blue. So, and I was like, he can just get a little Christmas novella and it'll be all gravy, right, with Blue. And Blue just turned into something completely different. But I loved him as a character because he was so guarded the whole book. Like just complete. He's more guarded than any of my other male characters that I have written. And Dallas, as in the shadows as he wasn't even as guarded as Blue was.
And even Legend. Oh my God.
Look, I wrote Gator and Stefan already in my head, like, girl, hurry up and finish this book because I want to get to Dallas so fast. Because his story had always been in my head, and I'm like, I gotta put it down.
And so just FYI, y'all, that's a Nola dude.
Say, girl,
504.
'cause I need one. I'm waiting on one. But yeah, I'm waiting on one with that accent. I truly appreciate it, of course. But yeah, so that's how it's been going. Just, writing, trying to write men that I feel like I would want, child. Like, all with different personalities, but all kind of the same. Like, I mean, you got to be that far off your rocker, but you know what I'm saying? Like, just be good to me. Just be good. That's all.
And just from that, guys, if you really know M Monique, this book that we're here to talk about tonight, The Bridge, is a very different style of her writing. And again, she did not disappoint. She came with the exact same energy that she's had in all the other books previously. She did not disappoint. I'm here to tell you, if you've not gotten into it, I hate that I'm gonna spoil it in this video. In this video, because I gotta let you know.
Hey,
Alicia,
stuff tonight.
Tell them what I'm talking about, Alicia. Tell them what I'm talking about.
I'm trying to tell
about draw my baby.
So yes, listen. So The Bridge, I was cleaning or getting in the shower. I was doing something, child, and it came to me like, I promise, I'm serious. I was in the middle of doing something, and it just came to me like, this is what you're going to call your book. This is what it's going to be about. This is what it's going to, contain some of these elements, because I myself am going through some of the things that, of course, okay, so all my female characters kind of have a part of me. But in The Bridge, this was literally a type of healing process for myself, that I always kind of felt like I needed to. I'm not ashamed of anything I've been through, right? Not ashamed. I'm not, like, I like to tell my testimony. I like to tell a lot of stuff about me because it could help somebody, right?
Amen.
So when it came to me about The Bridge, I was like so geeked about it, because I'm like, what? Oh yeah, I can do that. This right here, and da 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 da. So if you notice, when you open The Bridge, it says part 1 on it, because there's 3 parts to it. But the story between Dro and Harmony, Adrian and Harmony, they are the first part, and their story is complete. That you will not see them in another part. But it is significant because she is a divorcee. He's a divorcee. He's, he was struggling, but he was kind of getting over his whole healing process before she was. But they kind of came together at a time when both of them had already healed in some way. And going through a divorce myself, I, was very much in tune with how Harmony was, because I felt how she felt in the book, and how words people would say, or the way your family could feel about it, or anything like that. Being, she was told she couldn't have children, or was made to believe she couldn't bear children, and I've been told that since I was 19 years old. So it's like,
and how many you have?
I have 3. Child.
Listen, 3. Tell God, won't he do it?
When I tell you, look, and when I tell y'all, he did it in such a way, because this is my 2nd marriage that I'm on right now, that I'm getting divorced. But when you're young and you marry, right? Because my first marriage, I was young, and my ex-husband was not. He is a family person, but not ready to settle down, if that makes sense. He was still trying to be in the streets. And it wasn't even necessarily it was just how his lifestyle was his whole life. So he didn't know how to come up out of it. So I found out I was pregnant, child, like when we was deciding we was gonna get divorced. And I'm like, really? Like, never had I thought about it, never had I because I was told I couldn't have any. And just putting everything on the table, we never not tried to have any. never once have we not tried to have a child.
Mhm.
And we were married for 6 years. So it was just funny how it happened, but it took getting pregnant to bring me out of that relationship. And I know that's going to sound crazy,
No, I
but
don't.
when you have a child and you think about what you're involved in or the person you're involved with, you have to wonder if it is going to be what's best for the child. So in my mind, I knew, okay, this has to be happening for a reason. Although in my little mind, because we think we know everything more than what God knows, we want it. I wanted it to work out. I needed it to work out because I ain't never want to be no single parent. Lord, why you doing this to me? But I look at it in hindsight and I'm like, okay, but he wasn't ready at the time. How much, you cannot force anybody to be ready for something they're not ready for. So I moved on. Well, child, here we go again. And going through a divorce again. This is a lot different because I'm older, I know better. And when you know better, you do better.
Amen.
And I'm not saying it's very difficult and complicated, but at the same time, when you have dealt with so much manipulation and control to the point where you lose yourself, you rather deal with the difficulty outside of that marriage than you would the difficulty in it. So I said, okay, I'm not going, I got 3 children to consider. And I'm one of those people who I feel like people always talk about how 2-parent households are what is needed. Okay. But I'm a firm believer that if that 2-parent household is jacked up, what's going into those kids? So my children are a product of that, because now my children have an attitude that they shouldn't have, like not just being regular 6, 7, and 9-year-olds. My 9-year-old worries like he's an adult. Like, why are you worried about something, son? But that's because that's what he has seen. He's seen me worry and be stressed out. So that has trickled down to him. My 6-year-old is very emotional because that's what he's seen, an emotional parent. And so now everything, he's just so emotional. And my 7-year-old girl, she's the middle, and she's like the most mean. She's a mean little girl, but some of that I can say is because she's seen a mean side of me because of the stress I was under, right? So it's like I just had to be so careful in my thought process when I decided I was getting divorced, because when if you're not willing to change even a little to show that you're trying, that tells me you don't care. It doesn't tell me you're not even, you can say you're trying, but those actions are going to speak volumes. And when your actions don't match what is coming out of your mouth, it's time to reconsider. And you talking about 6 years of reconsidering. I've been married to him for 7 years, and this is 6 years of Lord, fix it, Lord, fix it, Lord, fix it. And at some point you got to think, okay, God, maybe you showing me something. I just refuse to see it. I refuse to believe it. And I refuse to accept it. So here we are now. And it's like, when I separated myself from that person, is when I started writing, when everything, started coming together as far as my writing is concerned. I just felt like my mind started being more clear. I wasn't being under this kind of control type thing. So that's what I'm saying. In Harmony, in the book, with her husband, she was so under his control that she had nothing when she walked away from him. And she didn't even realize that. She had nothing until she walked out of that courthouse and realized she had nothing.
Yeah, he irritated the piss out of me calling her fat. I was like,
Yeah.
160 pounds, babe. Give me 160 pounds. I wish the hell you would call me fat. Shit, we walk around here my size 12. Don't play with me, goddamn it.
These are things that men do and say to demean or cause us to believe stuff that they don't even believe. They just say it because they want you to believe it. Exactly. And make you feel like nobody else is gonna want you, or like you're a failure, because people equate divorce with failure. And it's like, but everything is not meant to be. We'll make it want to be meant to be, but that doesn't mean it's meant to be. Like we can try to force a circle into a square, but it's not gonna go in there.
Girl, who that was
Try
that
to-
said that? That was a word I got yesterday somewhere where it
Yeah,
was talking
so
about forcing things.
you
Come
can't
on.
force. Yeah, you cannot force. And see, I have dealt with the line of, well, God will honor marriage and da 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 da. And I say, you're right. He does. But is it the marriage he put together? Because if it's not the marriage he put together, he has no obligation to honor that. He has an obligation to honor that. So and that's kind of the situation I got myself into, because he gonna show you some red flags and we can ignore them and all that type of stuff. But here I am 7 years later and looking at myself like, man, you really let 7 years go by, and it's like you're not anywhere different than where you were 7 years ago. And I just felt like, I couldn't do it anymore. Harmony, I didn't take her through a lot of things, but sometimes we have to, like myself, have to be put in a position where you have to make decisions that you don't want to make. And it took me literally being sick as a dog and being told I shouldn't be alive for me to wake up and realize I had to change my life for me. I had to be happy with myself. I had to be happy with what I was doing in my life. Was I enjoying my life? And it all just came to a head, like with my auntie passing, because she was 63, and I'm like, she retired in 2015 just to end up where she is now. Like, what? Worked for the same system for 32 years and didn't even get to enjoy her retirement because she ended up passing away. And it's like, you want to be able to enjoy what you have here. And that's what I set out to do once I started writing. It became my therapy. It helped me through all these text messages, girl, cussing me out. Look, all these phone calls. So that's why I said a lot of me is in harmony for what she was going through mentally, because she struggled. But her therapy was her bakery. She did that, and then she went to therapy. She was praying. So, and I'm a firm believer you can pray and go to therapy at the same time. And nothing wrong with therapy.
Exactly.
Yeah, and because that's me, that's what I do. So the bridge is something that I really put a lot of hope into, because I wanted it to come across as something that was actually real for people, because it's real for me, and I'm still going through it. But at the same time, it's giving me hope for something better. Like, I don't feel like just because I've been divorced twice that I don't have a soulmate, because I believe everybody has a soulmate, right?
Amen.
So and I'm gonna hold on to that until it happens, child, I guess. So yeah.
You're saying I'm gonna stick beside it. Alicia,
Hold on.
tell us your thoughts around this book.
Okay, so like Miss Monique said, the book gave me hope. I've been single for like 6 years, celibate for just as long. Went through a horrible, horrible breakup with my child's father. And I was, going through a phase where I didn't want to move on, stuck in the same spot, same space, just don't want to talk to anybody, don't want to risk getting my heart broken that bad again.
Right.
So, I shunned a lot of people out, I had a lot of great men approach me. But no,
yeah, it's that.
Go on about your business.
Yeah, I'm the same. Yep. It's like you don't even want that.
No, I don't want that.
The thought of them hurting you in any type of way. And that's the same way I think. And I'm like, I really hate that my perception of men changed based off of not even my first marriage. Now that's crazy. It's based off of the last one that I was in, and he was spiritual. He's spiritual. But when I tell y'all, listen, perception of men changed with this last marriage, because again, I think it's because I'm older. I know better. I know as a woman what I want, what I don't need. And it's like you don't want to ever put yourself back in that same position again. So, child, yeah, I can't do it. I was like,
I really felt like this book could speak to anybody in marriages, single,
exactly.
hoping to be in a relationship someday. I felt like, first off, there were a couple of elements that spoke to, say me, for instance, as a mother, when I want to speak to my 27-year-old daughter, 27-year-old daughter, about trying to teach her specifically what characters to look for. Let me say this, and I've had this conversation with quite a few people. I feel like the reason why a lot of marriages don't work is because we're not taught as children the characteristics that, number one, that not only should we have it within ourselves, but what we should look for in others, right? And the whole idea, we're so quick, our hormones start talking to us in middle school, and as an educator, I see it where they're holding hands and they're jumping to these relationships, and again, we let society tell us that he feeling us if he's buying us things, or if he got us on his Facebook page now with the social media hype or what have you. But there's so much more to growing. And I follow Michael Todd, and he talks about relationship goals, right? Specific things. And I think it is so important that we emphasize patience, that we emphasize learning each other, and having the things that we want kind of purged into that relationship. And when I say want, have like premarital counseling, right? That's not a common thing. But again, I never felt like I was told when I was young, know your worth.
That's the thing. Yep.
Right. Know your worth. Have boundaries, have limits. Again, some of these absent fathers in the home, or even what you witnessed with your parents, right, is all that you know about the whole concept and idea of a relationship. So we start to normalize dysfunction. And
that's true.
Again, unequally yoked, or the idea of the way people are raised differently. Some people are raised in trauma.
Right.
Some people are raised as, to survive.
Right.
And so it's what can I get from you? What can I get out of it? And so there's also these false perceptions of what marriage is when it comes to even the concept of responsibilities, right? So as the wife, you're expected to, or as the husband, you're expected to. But again, everybody, what I learned in 22 years of being married, what I learned, different strokes for different folks. What may work in your house,
exactly,
not gonna work in my house, because they're different people.
Right.
And so one person's strength can be played on. And I felt like this is exactly what happened with Adrian and Harmony. They literally played off of each other's strengths once they got on the same page, right? And we saw the commonality in what's the pregnant chick name? What was her name?
Priscilla.
That heifer. That heifer. Them two, they both were petty.
She was so miserable.
Yes. Yeah. Now you got the man, and now you got the baby on the way. You ain't married to him, mind you. But you felt the need to come bring your behind to my business.
Right.
And get in my face and flaunt your pregnancy, something you thought I wasn't worthy of or couldn't provide. So this book actually unfolds some serious secrets. You talk about, to me, pure evilness.
Right. Right. Yep.
yeah, I mean, there was so much hurt that was delivered, and it's hard to even sit there because you sit there and be like, well, what's behind? I wanted to know. Well, why did you feel the need to do that? That was like so harsh, so horrible. And we'll tell you what it is, y'all. But what we're talking about is that this woman from that relationship was so broken because her encounter with the bridge, right? I thought that was just so wild.
Yeah.
Her encounter with the bridge, how you connected that with its purpose.
Right.
It's a thing, but it had a purpose in that moment to uplift, to give vision, to give insight.
Right.
And that's what that bridge did. The water under the bridge. All of that was like, you can tell that it was spiritually profound. There were some connecting pieces that literally gave peace at various aspects and points. Is there some representation of that bridge that was in your life that I think you mentioned it in a virtual that I recall? And is it like the turnpike?
So the turnpike is in Central Florida. Look, the bridge here, right? So what happened is that about in 2016, right? So we're talking 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 2016, I had knee surgery. Okay, I had to get I've dislocated my knee, so they had to go in and build me a knee. Now this is my third knee surgery, and after the surgery, because they had me so doped up, right? I had a panic attack. My first night at home, I had a panic attack, and I thought I was having a drug overdose. Child, I was having a panic attack, and that night changed everything about my life. It changed how I move, operate, Because of course, if you've ever had a panic attack, you know it can happen whenever it's gonna want to happen.
Right.
So I thought I was over it. I let it, I had them for a couple of more days after that, but it kind of calmed down. So one day, a few months after my surgery, I wanted to go to my aunt's house, who lives an hour and a half away from where I live. And it's this bridge you have to cross to get to her house, right? It's called the 3 Mile Bridge here in Pensacola. So as I'm getting on the bridge, mind y'all, I used to work across this bridge. I used to drive across this bridge every single day to go to work. I'm getting on the bridge and my body decides I'm about to have a panic attack. So I had a panic attack going across the bridge. This bridge is 3 miles long, and it has a hill that goes really, really high to allow the boats to come under, right? So of course I was freaking out even more because I hope I don't black out while I'm on this bridge. I had my kids in the car, I had my mama in the car, and my mama was not going to drive over the bridge, right? So anyway, so I have not been across that bridge. I have not driven across that bridge since that day. So when the bridge came to me the day I was cleaning up or doing whatever I was doing, I was in the bathroom, that's all I remember. And it did not occur to me that this was gonna be something that would speak to me in such a way, because it took days before it dawned on me. Now, you're gonna have to go drive over that bridge, right? And that's exactly how it came to me. And I said, wait a minute now, because I ain't gonna drive across that bridge. And I'm like, why would you tell me to name this book The Bridge and then literally show me where I was not even facing my own fears? And it was crazy. So I had to think about that. So now I really was like, okay, I know this book is meant to be. I know I'm supposed to be doing this, because the way he just brought that back to me like that was crazy. And I have not driven across the bridge yet, but I plan to, because I'm like, it's like him telling me, I'm speaking what is being said to me in the book. Like, you don't trust me? Like, I can get you across that. You don't have to be afraid. You don't have to worry. You don't have to stress. Like, you're used to doing something like that. You used to trust me before, and now you're not trusting me now. So what kind of sense does that make? Because I used to drive across that bridge every day to go to work, every single day.
Oh, my word.
Hmm.
Crazy. If you trusted that bridge every other day, but the first time you had a panic attack going across it, now you don't trust it no more. Yeah, I'm telling y'all. I don't know
There
where.
was,
I don't know, but when I started writing, the first part, I didn't even start writing the first part, and he had already given me the second and third part, and I was like, okay, God, I got this. So I wrote all my little notes down, and it just all came together. So I'm really excited for the second and third part. Y'all will understand why her whole entire beginning of her book started the way it started. And you know, even Adrian's sister, who found out she has lupus, and she was talking about how she's a psychiatrist, but yet she can't even, deal with her own emotions for what she's going through. And, but as a person who has lupus, I know people who have passed away from lupus, who have lupus. And it's like, I don't even wake up in the morning and realize that I live with this type of thing every day. I have flare-ups, things like that. And it can kind of make you, want to say, I can't live like this because, I can't even go jogging if I want to. I can't just get out and be out all day if I want to. I can't be in the sun if I want to. It's just all these crazy, I can't eat what I want to. It's like all this stuff that you just have to really change your lifestyle to
it puts
accommodate.
the restrictions and limitations on you, right?
So his sister, she was a young woman who considered herself already damaged because of something that some doctors told her. So yeah, I can't wait to get into her story either. But
you can always tell when they having spinoffs in Monique's book, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Were you able to pick it up? Really?
I didn't know. So I'm like really excited now.
That's not like you not to be picking up on that.
I didn't see it said the end.
Well, no, I'm talking about specifically. There's certain characters that you have always kind of jump out. Let me share a highlighted verse from the book, y'all. That it hit me, right? I'm scared of living my life less than what God intended me to. Fear can keep us from so many things that God intends for us to run after. I don't want to run from love. I want to run toward it. I want to run toward the love He has for me. That was really early on in the book. And from that moment on, and we're talking Adrian is saying this. This is not something Harmony is saying.
Right. Adrian was a man who desired marriage and
yes.
love. And there's a lot of men out there that probably feel that way, that do feel that way. And he was not ashamed to say that's how he felt. And, you see what happens when the ex-wife visits her and
she realizes she lost. And you know what? And that too kind of, it was it made you think, right? And right. So not even posing this as a question, but more or less a statement. Because my beliefs are a little different, but I can understand where she was. She accepted that she lost a good thing, right? But she also recognized where she slipped up, what she thought was so important, which for her was she's one of those, it mattered to her for things. She didn't want to see him grow. She didn't want to see him doing better or being better.
Exactly.
So yeah, he was within his rights to say,
right,
okay, you don't want what I have to offer. You don't want who I am. And it's not as if he was a bad person.
Right.
She just didn't align her desires with his. Right. She wanted him to live a life that definitely would have probably either ended up with him dead or in jail. Right. I mean, how you want that for somebody?
Right.
How do
She
you
wants
want
that
that for
lifestyle.
somebody? Just so
And
you can have certain
yeah,
things to live a
mhm,
certain lifestyle?
right.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I
So when
know.
even respected her wholeheartedly for
Yeah,
eventually coming to the point of realization and
right,
saying, he's a good
right,
guy, take care of him,
right.
you know. And I'm sure that was hard for her, to
Exactly.
accept, because in her mind, imagine if we would have went to counseling. Imagine if I would have actually saw the
Exactly.
potential in him.
Right,
I could have the life that she's having right
right,
now.
right. And it's funny because even with what I'm going through, I literally I tell him, I want what's best for you. That might not be me, but I still want what's best for you
Mhm.
because that's just how I am. Um, I don't know. So that when I put that in there, I felt like, you can try the everything you can. And when it comes to a point where you tried everything you can, and Adron did try, he tried, but she was not willing to accept anything that he was doing. And but he refused to bend to her will in that aspect because he did not want to lead a life like she wanted. So, but when she realized it, and even sometimes I do, going through divorce isn't easy because you always wonder what
Right.
if. You
What
wonder
if?
what if,
Come on.
what if we do this, or what if this happens, or what if I divorce this man and then I end up being single for the rest of my life, and what if over,
Mm.
all this stuff that will cause you.
Here.
Okay, now listen to me this on this one though, because this is what I have learned about me. What I have learned, I can say what if all I want, but that fear is what keeps people bound in relationships that are no good for them. And
Oh,
it
praise
can be
God.
a marriage, it can be a friendship, it can be whatever type of relationship you can think of.
Right. Business
But
partnership. Yep.
yeah, it can be anything, and you can really hinder what God truly has for you because you're afraid to do. Okay, and for me, for my own thing, I can only speak on what I have personally been through. It's plenty of times I've been shown that that's not who I should be with. Plenty of times. But I in myself, because I have 3 children and know who my children to be without a father figure in the household. All these things that women fear when we're leaving a relationship. I felt. But at the same time, it's like, okay, but will you stay here and deal with what's going on? And then you wonder why you can't sleep.
Mm.
You wonder why you having panic attacks every day. You wonder why your blood pressure high. You wonder why, what I'm saying, you can't go through your day without crying. You wonder why you're crying on your way to work and going home. Living with like that, okay? And I'm a firm believer that when you are with the person he has intended you to be with, they're not going to antagonize you. you know, if they see you having a bad day, they're not going to make it worse for sure. Um, and I just felt like sometimes, how can you wake up wanting to ruin somebody's day? Like I don't get that. But when a person sees in you what the potential is, they have to keep you under their thumb and make you feel like there is no potential in you. So I couldn't do that. And I'm like, okay, but beyond even what I felt, I know that I've been shown plenty of times my error in that relationship. And when Harmony, she didn't even realize it until it was too late that she didn't have anything going for herself. She was also wrapped up in him that she didn't pursue anything that she could have pursued, because here's a man telling you, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to, but on the same token, he out here running the streets, and her own mama knew it.
Listen, speaking of a mama, that I was just gonna say let's take a break for a moment. Let's take a break for a moment.
Where was the
Because
inspiration behind the mom?
her mama disappointed me wholeheartedly.
My mom was right.
Yes, and when she told her, he is starting to get around or whatever. I can't remember what she said, child, but
Yeah,
something
she
to that
was
effect.
Yeah, she
saying
said it was
more that
embarrassing.
it's
So
embarrassing that
nonchalant
she
about it, like,
was
yeah,
all out in the street. Now he was like, because she was like, well, mine, you was the one that encouraged me, to get the
yeah,
divorce. She was like, yeah,
exactly.
because basically
He was
taking, his dirty laundry was being
It was
aired out
starting
in
to
the
come. It
streets,
was starting
right?
to come
And
out,
so,
and it's like,
and as a family woman, it's like it's one thing
yeah,
when you discreet about it. Wrong is wrong. If you know
that's
this
what
nigga cheating,
she
come on.
was crazy. She was crazy.
Come on. I
And
couldn't
then,
believe she was rocking like that. And then the way the things that she even said, well, if you lose weight, who the fuck tells that to their child?
girl,
Who does that?
and
I
then
wish that,
the
listen,
offhanded,
if I'm saying to my baby, lose weight, it's for your benefit, for your health, so
exactly,
that you're more comfortable, especially I hear you
exactly,
constantly complaining about your weight. Because
right.
look, my baby used to talk about she wanted booty, so she would be eating bread. I was like, listen, babe, listen.
It ain't gonna just go
We're sharp people. I was like, we don't go up, we go out. She figuring it out now. She figuring
I
it
love
out
bread
now.
too.
But the reality of it
Yeah,
is, as a parent, when
yeah,
she went to mom,
yeah,
her dad,
yeah,
listen,
yeah,
kudos.
yeah,
Because
I
my
was
brother,
starting to think
yeah.
that the mom was jealous of Harmony.
Mhm. So I thought about
I
that
wondered
whole
if the daddy
relationship.
cheated. That's what I was wondering.
You know what? So the thing is that I did have another way how I wanted to do that, but the reason I didn't is because um Harmony, Harmony's mom, when she came to her and told her to stop crying, she she was basically saying that she was trying to make her be strong and not, so soft. And I'm thinking, at the time when I'm writing, it was like some mothers are like that. Like they will be very hard on those children and expect them to not have any emotion or just suck it up and move on. You know,
Well,
they'll
that's the expectation.
neglect.
I think
Yeah.
who was that? I want to say one of the celebrities, I forget, when we talk about a strong Black woman and we try to eliminate the whole emotion. Whatever
Yeah.
emotion that you're feeling,
Mhm.
it should it's warranted.
Right.
Feel the way you feel, embrace
Right.
it. You want to
Right.
cry, go ahead and cry. Don't do
Right.
it for too long though. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I can
Right.
see her saying that. Pick
Mhm.
yourself up. Don't let
Right.
him get the best of you. I
Right.
sometimes I wonder if it was the wrong choice of words she was using.
Right. She didn't know how to love her in words. She was just like, because she said they weren't allowed to even be around them when they were little. She felt like she was raising her sisters because they wasn't allowed to be in there, even see them together and things like that. So in essence, her mom never even taught her how to, like you said, um, be in a relationship. It's just a lot of things that I kind of wish I would have add little other elements to add in there. But it's like
Mm-hmm.
once it starts flowing the way it does, I don't mess with it
Right,
because
right.
there's to some degree, maybe down the road, because her mom to me does kind of really probably have a story, because why were you this way to this child for
Mm-hmm.
so long? And then here you come along and you try to offhandedly apologize for the
But baby,
way.
when she threw that damn drink,
Yeah, girl.
I was ready to throw hands. I was about
She
right
was
here,
mad
right
because
here.
she was triggered, though. You have to wonder if she was triggered, because why would you throw a drink at her if what she said triggered you?
Alcohol abuse. We don't play that. Mm-mm. No,
Girl,
ma'am. No, ma'am. You do
so,
not. Don't throw no alcohol. To me, it's almost as bad as spitting in my face. That's
yeah.
that's
Oh,
that's what
yeah.
it equates
Oh, yeah.
to.
Oh,
You know what
yeah.
I'm
So,
saying?
yeah.
Like, really? I'm your
Exactly.
child. I
Mhm.
made you that mad because
Yeah.
you offended me,
Yeah.
and her sisters were just as
Just-
controlled. But it's like
Exactly.
once this girl finally found her own voice
Mhm.
and came into what she needed to come into to be her own, you
Right.
know, that's really what it came down to when she decided that she
Wasn't
she
gonna take
wanted
it.
better. She
Mhm.
was going, you know, she wasn't
Right.
going, listen, I've been introduced to something that's much greater. But that judgmental side of them,
Yeah.
like
Very.
you listening to the streets, how y'all know all my business?
Right.
Y'all out here
Exactly.
researching my man. Why? Why you why
Girl.
the who
You
comes
got
in
all
my
this
house?
body next to you,
Yeah.
but you over here worrying about me.
Yeah, exactly. Until he went
Yeah.
upside Kyle's head, and mama realized, oh, you know, he ain't as bad as he seemed, or whatever she felt like he would be to her. And the fact that he stood up for her, it was to her mom commendable, but at the same time, you've been nasty to him. Or
But you know what? I think I saw a different side to her view of him
Yeah.
at the dinner,
right,
at the birthday dinner, when especially when she asked him about his art, right?
Mhm.
And she said he was like, oh yeah, it's love and it's unique, you know what I'm saying? But
Right.
again, because see, I knew and then I forgot.
Mhm.
And I kind of said, I wonder if he was, you know, like the cop or whatever. But because when she said military,
Right.
it said cop. This man went through a couple of phases. He was in the
Right.
street life, right?
Right.
He was
Right.
in the street life, went from the street life to military to the police officer.
Mhm.
Now he went and found his passion in doing the
Right.
art.
Right.
And so
Right.
the only element that you got out of all those phases of his life was the very beginning when he was in that street life.
Yeah.
You say how quick people were ready to quick and judge.
Yeah.
But baby, let me tell you something. If a mama don't know nothing, you gotta know. If you about that life,
Right.
some of the best BDE that's strolling through here.
He said,
I
I don't
tell
care
you.
what I am. He was gonna always be Dro, that man that was in the street, and he did have a lot of that type of energy because, man, let me tell you,
And he
while I was
whooped
writing it, I was like, man, because I thought it was gonna be so complicated because I'm used to writing what I write, right? And I'm like, man, Dro, if we had wrote this, if this was not inspirational romance, man, we would have did some things with you. But I loved how he was still, I thank God because I was still able to portray how he was without actually bringing in a sexual element to the book. And still,
that's
give
to
off
me,
that
that's the
type of,
best writing. That's the most impressive writing. When you can keep me, and they ain't had not narrow,
that's how
rough.
I did.
I was sitting there like, okay,
That's
all
me.
right,
But you know what
okay.
though? Okay, so before I became a writer, before I became an author, I used to read all the time. I was like 16 reading Beverly Jenkins' historical romances. She's like my all-time favorite. Okay, I love her historical romance. But I also used to read a lot of inspirational romance. And there was this one author that I would read all the time, and none of her books had sex in it. Not one. And I done read all of them. And I'm like, how in the world can you keep me entertained
With
for
no sex.
300
Y'all,
plus pages?
I remember the first. I
Have
remember
been
the
in it.
first book I read that had a cuss word and sex in it, and I was like, when I
You
say
ready to
super
turn it back?
excited, girl, yes indeed. I was in shock because first off, I'm like on my mama's side, yeah, they might talk like that, but sex wasn't something that's
Yeah.
that's just like taboo, right? They wasn't talking about that. But on my grandmother's side, on my dad's side, grandma and them didn't play that. The most you saw is my grandpa, kissing on my grandma, hugging her, what have you.
Right.
But
Right.
affection, public affection,
Exactly.
wasn't really a display.
Right.
And to me, it's a missing element. I love that, we've now got to a point where someone, Gary Chapman, came to the sense to say, you know what, there's a reason why we have so many problems with understanding love, because all of us have different love languages, right? And I think that was a key element to understanding what you might identify as love and what you need as an individual is not what I need. I don't need gifts.
Exactly.
I don't need you to, maybe somebody don't need to talk, don't need to touch, I want touch, I want affirmation.
It is absolutely a complicated thing when you do not have affection in a relationship. I have learned that, and this is something I told my ex-husband. If you cannot come together, if you don't have that relationship and that bond, it's hard to already go through things when you do have that relationship and that bond to where nothing can shake y'all. But when you don't have that type of relationship or that type of bond and something comes along, what's going to save that relationship? It's even harder to go through. It is even harder to go through when you don't have that relationship and that bond. And affection is one of those things that brings you together. And I'm one of those I try to get into someone's head. Affection and sex are not the same. They're not the same.
No, it's not. Intimacy.
And a lot of
intimacy is not necessarily associated with sex. Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of men don't understand it. And I think that's the breakdown also of being in families where you're not taught affection. You're not taught that hugging your children is okay. Or telling your kids, I love you is okay.
Come on.
But you can tell them, like, you can fix your mouth to say something negative, but you can't fix your mouth to say something positive.
Right.
That is something that is a behavior that keeps festering until they're older. And a child coming from some trauma in my childhood, but I learned forgiveness at such an early age and how to move on and forgive that I did not carry that into adulthood.
That's growth. That's growth. That's a part of the growing process. And, as we are approaching this hour, because I love to make sure I am respectful of my author's time, I want to share that when we talk about that evil thing, this woman felt so incomplete. She basically was told, or her belief was, she could not have kids. This son of a bitch went and had a vasectomy. He went and had a vasectomy.
He sure did. And
obviously had it reversed to end up have another woman pregnant for him, which was
a woman that he really doesn't want.
Say it again.
A woman that he really doesn't want.
He didn't
I feel like he still want harmony.
He still wanted harmony. But
for you to be going to the ball and all up and humiliate this girl with that lie.
But he knew he could not have children with her. And he would rather have did what he did to her than to have gone against his parents. So he went and got somebody else who he knew his parents would be okay with and got his children. But in the end, look at how she dealt with the whole situation. She didn't even, when he went to that ball, when he got hit upside his head, and she should have learned right then. She should have learned Priscilla should have seen right then how much he was still wanted his ex-wife. And as a woman, to know a man would even feel that way, so you really just with me because you could not have kids with this woman.
But that's just it. That wasn't the case.
It wasn't the case.
You had a vasectomy. She just did not fit in his world of what was considered acceptable.
Exactly.
She didn't fit the mold of what was considered acceptable in his world. And, it was just, it was bullshit. It was really foul.
Imagine if she would have gave him a child.
That's what I said.
That baby would have suffered the brunt of a parent that never probably would have loved him or her. It's like, so So really, he did her a favor.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but
What
that's
the devil
another
meant
thing.
to harm you, God use
Exactly,
it for your
God meant to do.
good.
'Cause
God
I'm
use
telling
it for your good. So,
you, yes, ma'am.
I want you, if you have not read this book, take some time out. How many reviews are you at by now, Monique?
221 today. I think 221.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got a question right quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Bro, how does Joe sound?
So
How-
listen, Dro has a voice. It is not like it is not like the Allstate man. His voice is just very
Y'all, I knew she was going with this. Thank you for telling her it ain't damn Allstate man.
That's how he sound in my head.
I think of okay, so anytime I
makes me
reference to
sick.
how my male characters sound, I try to pair them with a rapper or something like that because I love rap music. Okay, I love Lil
So
Wayne.
who would you put him
Lil
with?
Wayne is my all-time favorite. Okay.
This ain't
But
Lil Wayne voice.
No,
Put that in
it
my
is Lil Wayne's
head.
voice.
Also
No, it
be
is his
like,
voice. But I like Lil Wayne because his wordplay is crazy. I just love listening to his music. But it ain't his voice. I kind of think about people like who is a rapper that I can probably say he sounds like I like how The Game sounds. I like how Method Man sounds. I like how
Yeah, we can give him as a
it's just
visual.
voices
Method
like
Man,
that.
you
So
hit it.
anytime I talk about a rapper's voice, I mean a character's voice, I'm equating it to maybe some rapper. Because I don't even find any actors or anything like that who I would consider playing a voice in my head, but that's what I see. That's what I hear.
Yeah, I kind of put him with like Chance the Rapper.
Yes. Just like a little, yes.
Yeah, kind of mild, but
yeah, just a mild, deep,
confident, or even Common.
Yeah,
Or
Common.
even Common.
Yep. It's
but
just even a normal deep
Allstate.
voice that's not, who is that? It's a rapper that has a very raspy voice and it's deep, but it's raspy. And
Not DMX, huh?
DMX does. He got
DMX or Ludacris.
You might as
Ludacris.
well go
A
on
lot
stage.
of rappers that have. So anyway, when I speak of male characters and their voices, I'm equating it with a rapper of some sort. So yeah.
We're gonna keep that in mind the next time. Because when really and truly, yeah, we're gonna keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So our next story will connect us with his sister.
So it's not. It is a surprise. So
now I know your next project. I just we're getting the paranormal collaboration with
Is
you.
this your first time?
There's a few things. So this weekend I'm supposed to be releasing Sneaking and Freaking with my professor. That is literally what it is. It's the professor and the student. So anyway, that's supposed to be coming this weekend. And then I am working on a paranormal with AJ Davidson. That's going to be really fun. Neither one of us have never done a paranormal, but y'all know I don't like being in a box. So
come on now.
I'm out here for it. So I'm going to do it because it just sounded crazy. So I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to do this. So, and then I'm working on Pink and Carlos from my very first series that I started. Pink and Carlos is the follow-up to Painlessly in Love. So I have a few things on my plate. I only added 2 things, and that's the paranormal and this Sneaking and Freaking. Everything else has been written in stone that that's what's going to happen for the year. And I'm not adding anything else to my plate because no. So with the bridge, the second part, okay, so his sister does not have a part in the bridge, the series.
Okay.
There are 3 parts, and the second and third part, you will understand why I really don't want to give it away once the book opens.
Yeah, I love the element of surprise, especially with your book.
Yeah, so
I trust you, so go ahead, write it up.
But his sister does.
And if you're looking for an arc,
And Mallory, the
Book.
girl in the bakery, she does too. She has a book also.
Oh,
So
okay.
those are the
Her old
only other
girl.
two, yeah, that will have a spin-off from the bridge. But as far as the bridge, the three that were given to me like that day are the three that I'm putting on paper for this year for sure. And I can't wait for that second and third part. It's really crazy, but it's good. It's like putting a puzzle together and it all coming together and making this one beautiful picture. So that's what I'm trying to do with this series, and hopefully it's going to turn out that way, because it better turn out that way. So yeah, it better
Alicia,
turn
did
out that
you have any more questions?
I do not.
way.
Mhm.
All right.
Well, I want to thank you both for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. I was so excited and hype about being with both of you ladies tonight. One of my favorite readers, this author here. Oh my gosh, she just came in, y'all, like, and just blew our mind. And we really, listen, kudos because your
Mhm.
writing is superb. You know,
Thank
it's
you.
above par. And
Thank
we are looking forward, of course, if I can figure it out, I will be attaching at the end of the video your updated catalog.
you.
Um, but I definitely will have the link to how you can follow more of M Monique.
Yes.
And if you've even been in our Big Beats and Reads newsletter, and Monique was one of our authors of the month.
Yes.
So there was a lot to share with her.
That
But
was very
again,
nice. Thank you
I
for
will,
that.
my pleasure. I will definitely make sure we have some updated information. But thank you again for joining us. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please hit
Thank
subscribe
you.
and follow us for more. You ladies stay right there with me.